let's learn how to make a magic square. This is a really great way to use up some scrap yarn. Here's an example right here where I've just taken all kinds of bits and pieces of cotton and just tied them together randomly. It doesn't, the knots inside are going to be just fine. I'll show you how to tuck those in. I even had some fingering weight cotton, and I just put the little scraps on there. They're double thickness, and that's going to work just fine. And then I have another ball over here, just some kitchen cotton, and this is all one piece, one color. And I am going to I'm going to start with my random stuff, but if I feel like it's getting where it's not going to be enough, I'll just tie this on and keep going. So let's get started. This is going to work out really well if you use the foundation single crochet technique that I have a tutorial for, and you can find the link to that below. So we'll just do a foundation single crochet the size that you want. Now this, keep in mind that this is worked on the diagonal. So this foundation row that we're working right now is actually the diagonal of your square. So if you want a 6-inch square, you cannot make a 6-inch foundation because it won't work. It'll be too small. So you have to do a little bit of geometry to figure that out. Now when I do these, I'm generally making something like a pot holder, and it doesn't have to be absolutely precise and exact. Some people want everything, want their pot holders to be very uniform, and that's fine. That's really great. And in that case, I would definitely want you to do your math and figure out your the diagonal for your square. And you can do a quick search online for your geometry formulas to learn how to find the diagonal dimension of a square. It's not too hard to do. I'm coming up at one little knot right here. I can feel it coming in my hand, and that's okay. They are gonna, once we turn the work and start going down the inside, these little knots are gonna all get tucked to the inside, and you won't have to weave anything. It's a little bit challenging sometimes with the double strands. Okay, there we go. But having this foundation row that you can work from both sides is going to make a big difference. And I'll just meet you back when that's the length that we want it. Okay, I have my foundation single crochet pieces as long as I want it for a diagonal. My pot holder will then end up being about that square. I don't know, what is that, 7? That's probably be about 7 or 8 inches, about 7 inches square. Now to start making this the magic square, chain 1, and then instead of turning to work down this side, you're going to work down the bottom side, and you're just going to turn it this way and wriggle under the stitch there. And make a single crochet. Now I like to work this all in single crochets for a pot holder. It makes a tighter fabric, and we don't have to worry about anybody getting burned. You'll see that we have a knot here, so I'm just going to make sure that knot is pushed to the back side of my work. I will always be working on the front side of the work, and this works in continuous rounds, and we're just going to keep, I'm just going to single crochet all the way down fringe here. These double-stranded ones, they like to kind of get caught on the hook a little bit, and I have to be a little careful so we don't pull it, don't split it. This is just such a fun way to use up the extra cotton. I often have a ball, and when I'm done working on something and I have a little piece left over, I just tie it on, and then it becomes this random project going on. If it was really clever, I'd always keep that wound in a center pole ball so that it was so that it wasn't always lost in the middle. Keep single crocheting all the way down to the end. There's another knot, and again we're just going to make sure that that knot gets held to the back. It didn't pop through the stitch. Sometimes that knot will want to pop through your stitch. This time it didn't. I seem to have had a lot of this blue kitchen cotton left over from something that I don't even remember. But you can see how with the knots pushing to the back, you can't even tell that there's a knot there. And there's another knot over here. You can see it right there, and that's pushed to the back again. There's another knot. And I just want to make sure that one is pushed to the back. It's not quite where I want it. Here we go. So really, you know, waste not, want not. Always use up everything. Cotton and wool are great for kitchen products. 100% wool. Don't use something that has acrylic. A wool cotton blend is good, but you don't want anything acrylic in there because it transfers the heat, and it can melt, and you can be injured. All right, so this is where we have that that beginning, and we want to just tuck that to the inside of our project, and we're just going to reach around the side and pick up the top of that first single crochet over here. This one's a little bit awkward because we are pushing around that corner. So just grab some stitches and wriggle through. Here's one. And as you are likely aware from watching these tutorials, I do like to work under both loops of my stitches for the most part. So that's single crochet. That's the tough single crochet, 2 and 2, and then we start single crocheting down the other side. Now what you're going to feel happening here at the end, you can feel this pulling up. I like to always have the inside be the inside. So I will keep pushing that down. There, you kind of see how it turns right there, and it makes a little bit of a cup. And we're going to work all the way down to the other end, and then we will join the round. There, running into those knots. Of course, you don't have to make this out of leftover bits and scraps. You, of course, can make this out of a whole fresh new skein of cotton if you like. A friend of mine taught me how to do this many, many years ago. It was something I think her grandmother had taught her how to do. And I have always appreciated the simplicity of it, the usefulness of it, the resourcefulness of it. It's sustainable, and it is a quick gift. I've made many, many, many of these. My brother says the one I made for him is his favorite. Now we're coming back down to the end. And this right here is the last stitch. This is where we made our chain 1. So we're going to skip that chain 1 and we're going to single crochet in the top of that single crochet from the turning. And much like the other end, it's a little awkward to work it through. There we go. And then we just keep single crocheting, and you'll feel that end pulling up and cupping like it did on the other side, because you're not increasing. Do not make any increases in this project. Just keep going. And we just keep, now from this point on, you just keep single crocheting in rounds without joining until it starts to fold into a square. There's a knot popping through right there. See how, and it popped through. So when I make the next single crochet, we'll make sure that's tucked to the back. And we're just gonna keep going. Keep going, keep going. Just keep single crocheting around and around and around without increasing, and tucking your knots to the inside of your potholder. So keep going, and we'll check back in a few minutes and see how you're doing. So we've been going round and round and round on this. We're about this, and this is how far we are right now, just a couple of inches, but I wanted to check in with you and see how you were doing. You'll notice on the inside of this that I have all my little knots tucked to the inside, so the inside isn't really super pretty. And you might be looking at this going, how is this a magic square? I don't understand what we're doing, how this works. So what will happen is you're going to keep going and going and going with this until it's quite long. And then you'll take it and you're going to go like this. Ta-da! And then that's how you get your magic square. So it's pretty fun. So I want you to keep going around and around and around until these edges abut. They're going to just come right up and touch each other. And we'll check back at that point, because there's sometimes some little adjustments we can make to make sure that it lays really nice and flat. Alrighty, so we've come to this place with our magic square pot holder. We're just going to take a look at the inside, and you can see, I'll get this up here close, you can see all of my knots that are in here. They're just there. You can see that it's about that, it's 5 or 6 inches. And here's the magic part. I'm going to stand it up and open it and take it like this. And now it's a square. At this point, this is where we got to take a look at how we're joining this together. So we're going to kind of smooth this out so that my edges are straight. And you can see I have a little bit more of a gap between the edges than what I would really prefer. So I'm going to stitch from here just down to this other end. When this is folded into the square, it looks like you're just doing from one to the other, but when you have it back in this position, you can see that you're actually ending it in the middle of the round. So I'm going to crochet from here around to here and then check that again. So let's do that, and I'll be right back. As you can see, I've now completed enough rounds at this in this shape. I've ended in the middle over here. You can see another, I had to tie on some more of my cotton to make it get where I wanted it to be, to lay flat. I'm just going to work it like that so that it's nice and square. If you don't have enough rounds and you have any kind of gapping going on here before you stitch this shut, your pot holder will be like this, and it won't lay flat. If you have too many, it does other weird things. So it's good. It's not a perfect science, obviously, but it's nice to have it lay really flat and be happy with it. To finish this off, I am going to come back over here, and I actually feel like I did one stitch more than I wanted, so I'm going to pull that stitch out. And I'm going to just make a chain. Let's see, how many do I want? I want to have a little loop for this to hang, if I wanted to hang this. That's not quite enough. Let's see what we got here. That's a nice sized loop. Now I'm gonna, one more for good measure, and then I'm gonna finish this off. I'm gonna use the tail. I want to use the tail when I finish this off to sew this shut with a whip stitch. To make sure that happens, I am going to kind of measure out twice the length, and then I'm going to cut that and pull that through to tie it off. Thread it onto my big old darning needle. You can use whatever needle you're comfortable with. This, I just happen to like the curved tip on this one for this particular project. I'm going to bring this knotted, the end of my chain stitch where the knot is, I'm going to insert my needle into that last stitch. Oh, let's actually get it in the stitch. And then I'm going to pick up the stitch over here and pull my yarn through to secure that. When you look at the architecture of your stitches, we know that the top of our single crochets is this V stitch. When I stitch this together, I am going to go into the outside loop of this one and the outside loop of this one. That's going to make a little bit flatter seam when I do that. And you can do it. There's any number of ways that you can do that, but that's how I have decided to do this particular pot holder. I have single crocheted these shut, or even slip stitched them shut by just doing something similar but using a crochet stitch, and that gives a much more textured finish. This is, none of that's right or wrong, it just is your preference. And when we're done stitching that shut, I'll tie a knot down here. I'll insert the needle with the tail of the yarn back in after I finish it off, pull it up over here, and that way when I clip the last bit of the yarn, all the tails are to the inside and nothing will show. And you'll have this totally fun and funky, very thick and useful pot holder. Again, you can make that out of your cotton, your kitchen cotton. You can make that out of wool. Just don't use any of your acrylic fibers because they transfer heat and steam, and they also can melt. And that's it. If you make that, pop on Facebook and show me a picture of what you did. We'd love to see it. Have a great day.